they need to in some capacity.
And realistically, you wish you were replaying Pixie, you wish you were getting that rematch, but instead, you're going to be facing up against everybody else in the competition. Everybody else is very good. And for Nova MS, early scout from both their Sombra and also Sonic Arrow from Hanzo, just to see what that defense is looking like.
They've decided they do actually potentially want to commit to the Sombra. It's the other ones that they are going to change off. Giant LYNX, on the other hand, running a very traditional 3-3 GOATS composition.
Easily so far, one has managed to get through, does get stunned up though, so good response by Giant LYNX. This is exactly how they want to be dealing with one.
Yeah, nice catch by Romeo to get the detection, get the stun there. One did give them the slip though, so he is safe for the time being. Nova MS going to make another pass about now.
And that's the second fail to get past this defense for one as well. He needs to set up a position behind the defense and then also get an opening hack onto an important player like Chaser. But so far, Nova MS have been kind of stuck at this door. One has been kind of stuck getting through.
Yeah, now that he's put some pressure on the point, that's the cue for Nova to go. This does put them in a bit of an interesting spot, trying to get the damage down onto Chaser with that Orb of Discord, but he's actually doing a pretty good job of weathering the storm for now. It does cede a lot of ground, though, that Nova MS are more than happy to come in and occupy, and eventually the pressure becomes insurmountable. Chaser does get dropped, and with that numbers advantage, Nova MS going to just try and ride the fight out to its logical conclusion, isolate these members, pick them off one by one, and eventually cap the point.
And unfortunately for Giant LYNX, they haven't learned their lesson from Eichenwalde. Once again, they're being baited by one Sombra. They're chasing after this member, trying to secure that kill, unable to do that. You saw 2 to 3 members from Giant LYNX specifically running after one who just translocates out of there. Meanwhile, Nova MS are taking the cap, they're taking the fight, they're putting Giant LYNX into disarray and completely cleaning them up on that fight.
Nova MS really have some scary ultimates at their disposal here, and they've got just enough time to get in before Panties can even react with that Transcendence. Even then, he struggles to do so adequately in the past.
This could be a one and done if one gets a really good ult here as well. It's pretty decent coverage.
Yeah,
not everybody though.
When you consider that Panties does not have a Transcendence yet, though, it may just be enough. Certainly, it's enough for them to finish off Sage, and God, Chaser has to take a second right click, but they're actually struggling to get the single target damage down on these members. Giant LYNX now have an opportunity to recover, turn things back around potentially. Unfortunately, the grab Shatter not going to be the one to do it. Now Crazy S committing his own grab, forces the sound barrier from Rocket, and suddenly neither team really has a lot left to go on. Aside from Sage and God's self-destruct, layered in just now, doesn't get anyone. It's looking good for Nova.
And Nova have a lot more members here, and they're coming up to new ultimates. Bubukar will probably get the rally here. One maybe gets another EMP. Nova just needs to make sure the rest of their members alive remain alive.
They got a couple of kills in here, Giant LYNX, but Nova MS have paid it back double, and now with an additional EMP, it's going to keep Giant LYNX off the point to allow Nova MS to secure it. Take notes, everyone. That is how you can keep momentum in a fight like that when you have lost some members.
And that's the thing as well, because other ultimates were starting to come out online, and for a team like Giant LYNX, they were getting them once again at a better time for the most part than Nova were, at least executing at a better time, because first grab coming through was coming through from the Giant LYNX side as well. They had the Shadow moving in, the 2 support ultimates then to follow soon after that. Out of all those ultimates, we're looking at the previous 2 maps. The story remains consistent. They are not getting the value out of those ultimates. They're not able to get the counter trades. And so Nova says, as the attacking team here, we're going to get a second EMP, we're going to get a second rally, and we're going to have greater numbers to close out this game.
So that was the grab self-destruct that I was talking about. Sorry, grab Shatter, and as it happens, the Shatter actually got stunned out, and that was also a stun during which Chaser died because he ended up right beside that grabbed up team, given that he was hovering around there looking for a Shatter. So it's about as bad as it can go if you're a Reinhardt in that situation. You've got to credit Nova MS for really taking advantage of that position.
And Nova MS really forced, again, some good displacement here. They put Chaser on the low ground. They put Romeo on the low ground. So for a number of a decent amount of time on that offense, you had the defending Reinhardt and the defending Brigida both kind of off the map or out of the fight, and they had to take some time to regroup with the rest of the defense members. So Giant LYNX just didn't really get to group properly. They didn't get to really take that fight the way they wanted to, and once more, they didn't get to get those ultimates and execute them the way they wanted to.
Now Nova MS may just want to try and replicate their success on Eichenwalde, get the full cap out and then full hold on point A. Let's see if that comes to pass. I would be a little surprised. Giant LYNX can open things out on a 3-3. Nova MS doing the same.
And there's options for Giant LYNX as well. They can go for the 3-3. They can also go back to the Sombra, go back to the fire that was kind of working for them. Right now, they just want to brawl.
Yeah, nice early catch onto one as well. That is pretty much an ideal target to have taken out of the picture. Nexus getting low, that's another ideal target potentially, and he's still cut off from the team. So even though he was alive for a little bit there, it was still effectively a 5 versus 4 around the point in favor of Giant Lynx. And off the back of that, they're going to be able to secure that point. They've actually done so faster than what Nova MS did.
Yeah, absolutely no fear there for Nova MS as well, or rather for Giant Lynx, just walking directly up to Nova, getting that first pick, establishing the 6v5, but unlike previous maps, able to snowball that advantage into further picks, getting the 6v4, then isolating Nexus on his own, collecting everybody. That was basically a delayed team wipe. Now we're looking at a snowball scenario. Chase is coming up to an Earthshatter, and it should be the first ult of the game. You
would like to see a grab available for Giant Lynx, but when you consider that Bumbarappa, even though he's not quite there, is still doubling one's charge, you definitely take it. If this fight's protracted, it will come up. The Shatter unfortunately cancelled out from Chaser though. Transcendence is going to have to give them legs, and it's legs enough to find Oyo. This is a good start now for Giant Lynx. That grab still potentially going to be available soon. Might not even need it. That's already 3 kills taken through, and you'd have to believe that this will turn into a cap. Now 4, and not a single casualty on the side of Giant Lynx. Indeed, not just now, but also on the point A attack. They have yet to lose anyone.
And the other part is Giant Lynx still have ultimates. Here comes that grab.
Might have been a bit unnecessary. It was a one-on-one. You could have maybe had a higher impact catch, but it still keeps numbers heavily in their favor, and they're just continuing that one down the right. Beautifully timed there. Sergeant God right up in one's face. This is going about as perfectly as it can for Giant Lynx right now, and with the last few members of Nova MS putting up the last few bastions of resistance, it's looking like Giant Lynx are going to cap with a lot of time to spare.
Yeah, we're going to look at a very competitive time bank here for both teams. Giant Lynx still haven't lost any members yet. That's a big deal. Nova is struggling.
Yeah, crazy yes. Now just the supports. This is going to be a stall out on the Mei. It's probably not even going to bring that clock down to even. Incredibly, that is just how much faster Giant Lynx accomplished that point A cap. Nova MS are really just throwing everything they can to try and get that timer down, but it's still going to be near a 15-second lead for Giant Lynx coming into the time bank.
And a lot of that time does come through from the early A cap as well. They had a much better time, as you sort of said, going into that first A push, no time wasted, getting those kills, rushing straight to B, and then having the ultimates come up at the right time to then secure the rest of the kills. Nova MS just didn't quite have the stability, didn't quite have anything to work with because A was such a wash. They were so far behind in ults, double the charge for the grab for Bumbarappa against his counterpart in Nova. Nova just had nothing to work with.
Here's how I feel this map is going to go. We are going to see a very similar thing in each phase of our time bank, depending on whether we get to a third one or not. We will see the same thing until eventually one team is unable to fully cap out quickly enough, and then the time just doesn't favor them at all. It starts to slide the way of one team. However, I cannot for the life of me tell you which of those themes that is going to be at this juncture.
I do want to highlight here what we just saw on this replay, which was specifically Chaser going for the Earthshatter, and as he was doing that, Oyo sleeps him out with a sleep dart. That was an incredibly well-timed sleep dart that cancels the ultimate, still has the ultimate get charged, which means Chaser loses the Earthshatter completely. And you have to consider Giant Lynx still capped without the Earthshatter. They didn't even get to use that ultimate, and they were still in the lead for most of that B offense. But do now see Nova MS once again attacking, and for one of the few times, in fact the first time in the series, at a deficit.
The real thing that the time advantage gives Giant Lynx, the 15 seconds isn't a lot, but it gives them the opportunity to defend first and burn Nova MS's clock. That's a big part of their game plan here.
And where we saw Nova MS lose a lot of time is with Juan trying to get a good angle. This time he does make the back line, and Nova are going to attack straight away.
Yeah, got a hack on Rocket, but Rocket is going to be okay. That's a back cap of, ooh, just stopped shy of that third one. Nearly got away with that, but unfortunately, Giant Lynx haven't quite reacted to this ideally once again, and still going to be Nova MS breaking through, and they seem to be stuck in this. Do we take the 5v6, or do we turn around and try and kill one, knowing that he'll translocate away, and then we've seeded ground? Nova MS are going to take it.
I got to say the big problem is, it doesn't matter if Rocket's okay. The rest of the team is unfortunately not so okay. Because Nova MS get to speed in. Rocket being hacked out means no defensive speed boost, means no AoE healing, means nothing out of that Lucio. And for Giant Lynx, just easy pickings for Nova MS to feed on as they now rush into B themselves. Could be a snowball cap. In fact, we're looking that way.
Wow, I was going to say, we're looking like we're in a very similar situation with all the ultimates available. And that's before you consider Chaser just getting fragged out. Indeed, no ultimates committed yet aside from the rally from Bubukar, which is kind of a freebie anyway. This has been pure out fragging, and this could not have gone worse for Giant Lynx at this point. Not even going to be able to get some presence back on the point. Nice displacement by Nova MS to keep those members off. That is how you don't let that slight difference in time spiral out of control for you.
This is Nova getting quite serious here as well, because they understand, look, that last defense was unfortunate. You can start to see how some of these kills come through. Chaser goes down to Crazy super early. One finds Panties on the back line, gets the hack through onto Bumbarapa. Worst part of this still is Saijin God gets demech, survives, doesn't have a chance to remech at all. So everything going the right way for Nova MS. All the cards falling in exactly the right positions for them. And for Giant Lynx, a completely invisible defense on B.
That is 1 minute and 31 seconds to cap out. When you consider that, I believe it was what? Would have been 1:45 for the first cap, given what was left on the clock afterwards. So my math might be a little bit off there. It might be 2:15. I would need to double check it. But at any rate, that is consistency out of Nova MS. I said that this is what we'd see. It's going to be fast caps out of both teams until eventually one of them gets a slow one, and then the time differential becomes insurmountable.
And you got to say, anything under 2 minutes for a cap is an insane amount of time. And
yeah,
Nova MS are just able to do that. They're able to just get through and proving themselves, because for Giant Lynx, again, you have to see a position where their attack was so good, it beats Nova MS's original time. And Nova says, well, you want to step up to the big boys club, but let me set a real time for you. Beat this.
Now Giant Lynx have to replicate not just their own success on the initial attack, but also now Nova MS's success on both attacks. And let's see if they can do it without just getting an early frag on one.
We'll see how Nova MS plays this one as well, because they know that last time that was how they lost the first point. So they also do want to be quite careful. They don't have a member caught out.
They try and go for Bubukar for a second there, but they don't quite find that one. Then they look for Crazy S, don't quite find that one, and Saijin God takes a bit of pain. They do get a D-mech though, and they do finish off Bubukar. So even by the time Saijin God has lost his mech, Giant Lynx have already paid that one for double. Suddenly Nova MS again are going to fall apart pretty quickly on this point. So it was a different member that got fragged out, but Giant Lynx showing a bit of consistency here.
Well, this time around as well, though, Nova MS don't lose everyone. It's not really a one-sided fight. It is going to go the way of Giant, and likely Nova MS see the writing of the wall here, just going to back out, not going to contest A at all. But the bigger difference is once we get to B, it's not just going to be the one-sidedness of Giant Lynx getting all their ultimates. Nova will have something to defend with. Notably, the Transcendence will be available for Oyo.
And that was the one that was just barely not there the first time Giant Lynx were in this situation. So now they go barreling in. Gonna have to see how they choose to handle this. Shatter comes out first, and they try and isolate Bubukar. That's gonna be the grab. There we go, reaction to by the Transcendence. Now Giant Lynx don't have a lot to go on. They finish off Bubukar though. And there's gonna be the counter shatter from Nexus. Transcendence reacted with Panties. Now Saijin God sitting on a self-destruct. One's grab going to come in here. No reactionary ultimates here from Giant Lynx. Self-destruct laid up, chases down. Bumbarapa gets dropped, and Giant Lynx are starting to get beaten back. They couldn't quite hold on through all those ultimates coming up on rotation from Nova MS.
Nova really wanted that one as well. They used their own sound barrier to push forward. The final Graviton Surge from One, just able to squeeze through that victory. Rocket only just coming up to his own sound barrier, so timing slightly off for Giant Lynx, unfortunately. And now we get into the real defensive B. So far, neither team has really had the opportunity to defend A and defend B rather. And Nova MS is saying, we're going to get that opportunity now. We're going to really take the time off the board.
And that's the thing, this is already Giant Lynx unable to match Nova MS's time. It's all about getting as close as possible, which really means they need to win this fight. And already you see Saijin God isolated and pops out of the mech, gets the self-destruct off in the nick of time. They were able to last just a little bit longer with that sound barrier, but that's a huge whip on the grab, and Chaser dies just shy of an Earth Shatter. So all those tools that Giant Lynx are really going to need, they're not going to be able to use anymore. Now Romeo down. Nova MS did have to dig deep into their own pockets, but they win the fight, and that means again the clock gets lower.
Things just go from bad to worse for Giant Lynx, so it's actually a double whip for their ultimates. You wanted to save the self-destruct to combo with the Graviton Surge, but Saijin God gets D-mech super early. Has to self-destruct just to remech. Then Bumperappa throws his Graviton Surge into nowhere. Unfortunately, no one from Nova MS gets caught in that, and there was nothing to counter whatsoever. Nova MS just get a free victory on that defense, and suddenly we're looking at the time, and it is definitely running out.
Yeah, when you consider Chaser died shy of Earth Shadow, it's kind of a perfect storm of things going wrong. Oyo, though, early frag, early casualty. This is a good opportunity now for Giant Lynx, who have a lot of ultimates. Grab out. Reacted to by Panties, unsurprisingly. Counter Shatter from Chaser was a bit lackluster, and Rocket dies to a self-destruct, so Giant Lynx have lost that numbers advantage. They've regained it now with these extra 2 kills. They still need to close this one out. They still need to finish off someone like Crazy S.
It's coming up to his Graviton Surge right now. Needs to land it this time. Missed last time. Crazy S gets demected as well.
Yeah, gets 3. That's very nicely done. And Crazy S was off to the other side of that fight as well, so there was no risk of it being eaten, even without the demech coming into play. Nova MS finally back on the back foot here. Self-destruct not quite landing where I think Saijin wanted it, but this is still only Nova MS back in stall mode. You see that with one on the Doomfist. Does get Rocket though. With the Sound Barrier, Nova MS actually have some staying powers. They could still turn this back around, especially with Chaser now dead and the Earth Shatter not really followed up on stun on 1, but he's still alive, still in this fight, and even finds Panties. Nova MS have gone from stalling to beating back the tide.
And that's a big deal as well. One gets himself 3 to 4 kills in that defense, coming through as what is basically a desperation Doomfist. But at the same time, again, if we look at previous metas, Doomfist would have been a pretty acceptable pick on this defense, and he makes it work. One has been the only player to really seriously bring out the Doomfist so far this season and make it work and win with it. And we're in a position where Giant Lynx, just about 1 minute remaining now, there's a million to play and Oyo's already got a pick.
Yeah, that's really huge. To catch Panties, who nearly had a Transcendence as well. Giant Lynx see the writing on the wall here. They need to get out of the situation fast so that they've still got enough time for one last fight.
This is even worse for Giant Lynx. So they lost 1 member. They thought maybe we back out with 5, we regroup. Nope, instead they're going to lose just about 3, 4 of the members here. A stagger in there on Saijin Gold. There might even be another stagger if somebody else gets called out. All this while there's less than 1 minute.
Oh, he does get a Zarya shield. He's going to be out, but Bumperappa not so lucky. So this is so much.
It's a spawn camp.
This is really smart play by Nova MS as well. The Shatter from Nexus may be a bit unnecessary. Not quite so big brain, but setting up this far forward means Giant Lynx have to fight all the way through you and the courtyard while you're retreating just to get to the point.
We have seen this fail as well, though. Nova MS has to make sure nothing leaks through. They got to fight early.
Oh, man, leaking through, but in the other direction is going to be a self-destruct just lobbed over the top. And now Nexus 2 with 1 Fire Strike plus the D-Mech. 15 seconds, it's looking dire for Giant Lynx.
And Rockets just have to go for the back cap here. Somebody needs to apply some point pressure. Nova should actually start pulling back to the point, and they already have. They foresee this.
Yeah, they know that someone's going to be coming to take the dive here. Gives himself a sound barrier to try and get close, but they... Oh, here we go. Just barely gets a rollerblade on the ground, but that's all they've really got at their disposal there. The Blizzards that unfortunately Giant Lynx are going to be unable to fight through, so a full hold for Nova, and like I said, it was going to be both teams getting fast caps until suddenly one of them wouldn't and would grind to a halt, and it was Giant Lynx.
And not only was it not a fast cap, it just wasn't a cap. It went from basically 100 to 0. You compare the 2 attacks that Giant Lynx had. Their first phase before the time bank was basically a snowball from A to B, no stoppage whatsoever, didn't lose a single fight, barely lost members.
Yeah.
Going to time bank, A was a little bit more complex, a little less comfortable for them. Getting onto B was... unfortunately, just a no-show. Again, they just weren't there on that attack. They had some ultimates in play, but just have to look at the other 2 maps here. Having the ultimates for Giant Lynx, unfortunately for them, means not necessarily a win.
And, I mean, this is a really good example of the difference between these 2 teams and why this result is playing out as it is, even with the somewhat upgraded Giant Lynx here. Like, this is the sort of gameplay that separates the boys from the men. You saw the consistency out of Nova MS to have a very high-performance half, and you didn't see that same consistency out of Giant Lynx. You saw the potential, you saw the power, but you don't see the consistency, and that's why they are not in contention to be a playoffs team, and technically right now are not even necessarily in contention to stay in the tournament.
Yeah, they're currently the only team at 0-3, and if Xavier lose their match in the next one as well, Xavier will be joining them, but we'll have to see how that one goes. Right now, Giant Lynx still have the opportunity to get 1 on the board. They're still looking again for their first map victory. It just seems less and less likely that it's going to happen in this series. What you are noticing from Nova is they are very good at punishing mistakes. And
that was actually something we noted last week, actually, when we saw this team play. a little bit slow to punish mistakes, and also getting hard punished themselves. Less mistakes, but still, Nova MS are a good team. We move forward now on to Escort, though, so if you're a little unfamiliar, well, take a look.
Welcome to Watchpoint Gibraltar. This is Escort. Two teams face off as either defenders or attackers. This is the payload. The attacking team has a limited amount of time to escort the payload along a set path containing 3 checkpoints. The payload only moves forward when an attacker stands near it. Defenders can delay the payload's movement by standing nearby at the same time. To get moving again, attackers must clear away the defenders by force. Every time the payload reaches a checkpoint, the attackers score 1 point and gain additional time on the clock. If even one attacker is near the payload when the clock runs out, the game enters overtime. This extends play indefinitely until the attackers are either cleared off the payload or they gain more time by reaching a checkpoint. The round ends when the payload reaches the destination or when time runs out. Teams switch sides each round. Whichever team scores the most points and escorts the payload farthest wins.
For the first time tonight, the Explainer is not going to be taking place on the same map that we're actually going to be playing on. We're going to be going to Rialto instead.
So the streak has been broken. But one streak that hasn't been broken is the losing streak in maps for Giant League so far.
Oh,
and that's just got to speak the truth here, man. And it's the final opportunity in this series. It will be on this Rialto map. There's still a good chance of a maybe here. There is also a chance we look at Nova MS, where we haven't seen this map in rotation for a while now. It's been, at least a couple of seasons, I think. So going into this, Nova, are they a team that are going to start letting up? To be honest, Nova in past matches, they actually get better as the series goes on.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think this is the only team this season to have completed a reverse sweep. Like, that is exactly what we mean when we say this is a team that really picks up. And I mean, we've even been seeing that just over the course of this series. I would be very stunned if this is, at this point, anything other than a 4-0. I like the little omnic puns they leave littered around the maps. Like in this one, they got Botska. It's like a riff on I'm pretty sure it's Tosca. It's a famous opera. There's like in Hollywood, there's Some Like It Bot instead of Some Like It Hot. Like, oh, love me a good robot pun.
See if robots can.
It's basically the entirety of the movie Robots was just robot puns. Love that movie.
And now, Nova MS, see if they get away with the last laugh, because
I certainly ain't going to deliver it.
On a 3-0 streak in this matchup. 2-1 now in standings for their match record, and they're looking for a clean series. They want something to take into further matches with.
This is what keeps them in contention for a top 2 finish. So they come out the gate on a 3-3, Giant LYNX similarly so, and this is where Nova MS hit the accelerator as you round that corner into the courtyard. You press the go button, and Giant LYNX just seems totally unprepared.
And one survives as well. He got put down to basically no HP. Chase is in no position to actually chase him down because he himself was not on a lot of HP. And you just see Nova, they're not letting off at all. They are seeing the weakness in Giant LYNX and they're capitalizing on it every single time.
Yeah, Giant LYNX fight how I order my drink, straight no chaser.
That one wasn't even a robot pun.
Nope. I just have a drinking problem. Nova MS now rounding out onto that cap. And this is where Giant LYNX kind of get their last shot at maybe setting up something.
Big shatter.
Courtyard. Nice shatter. Feels like finally Chasers come alive with these shatters and they get the kills to boot. This is what Giant LYNX really need here. And they can actually move back forward to the other side of the courtyard here as well. They've given themselves a lot of space to play with.
And in the 11th hour as well, look how close that card got towards the end. About a meter and a bit off, so for Nova MS to lose at that point is definitely unfortunate for them, having a full team being shattered there. Chaser, definitely the hero of that play for Giant Lynx, able to give that team a second chance on this A defense.
Yeah, maybe I will follow that drink up with something, actually. That Chaser's looking pretty good about now. Shatter coming out from Nexus, gets blocked out, from one, rather. That does mean Giant Lynx now have the ults to play with it as their playground. Grab out from Nexus, counter grab from Bombarapa, but Chaser's already down, unfortunately. They didn't have a good defensive ultimate in time for that one. And now Bombarapa gets stunned up and finished off. Nova MS, they've managed to get more out of the same ultimate as what Giant Lynx committed in that fight, and are going to get a cap.
And they're getting more out of the same members, but on totally different roles. It's something I actually didn't catch until now, so good for pointing that out. You see actually one playing the Ryan instead of Nexus, who's playing his role. Bubuka is usually playing the Brigadier. He's actually on the Diva here. Oyo is meant to be the flick support. He's on the Lucio.
This is all turned about, but I mean, it is working. These Nova MS members really showing their chops here, you got to say.
We'll see how far they can get, because Giant Lynx, if they can really, I guess, kind of take advantage of the off rolls here, they can still get a win. Chaser his ultimate again. Earthshatter could be big.
It connected very nicely last time. Self-destruct laid in from Sajin God. Unfortunately doesn't get anything as the grab from Nexus. Big connection and very big follow-up once again. One does go down, but it's far too late in the fight to really mean much. And with Sajin God going down, I think Panties will respawn in time for it to not quite be a full gong to ring out, but it is another successful fight win from Nova.
And for Nova MS as well, this is the same energy they gave off right at the end of Hanamura when they're chasing Giant Lynx right back to the spawn location, getting super aggressive, finding the members that were out of position and just snowballing kills. They haven't stopped doing that, even though we're in a new map.
It's a big something energy.
Big shatter.
Self-destruct. Bubuka over the top. Gets 3 plus Sajin God's mech. I mean, one shatter just got completely overshadowed there.
And I think if you turn off the nameplates here, you wouldn't even notice that it's been a role swap for every single member on the Nova MS side. They're winning as hard as they did basically on Hanamura, and to be honest, Giant Lynx had much better control on Hanamura. They were actually in a time-bank scenario. Right now, it just doesn't seem like this defense really exists.
Nova MS. I mean, I was going to say they finally come into a fight with no ultimates, but even that's not true because Crazy S just came up on a Transcendence. So now Giant Lynx still have their work cut out for them. He's going to pop that Transcendence. They've decided it is time to press the advantage. This forces Giant Lynx to start reacting. They are trying to isolate one. They do successfully do that, but on the other side of the fight, Chaser himself got isolated. This has still only been even trade so far. Now Nova MS coming into a Graviton Surge out of Nexus. Panties is already down. Traded again. Could still be anyone's fight.
This has to be where Giant Lynx get a foothold, and as you know, Rialto is probably the map, or one of the maps, with the lowest completion rates for the attackers in all of Overwatch. So Nova MS can still get caught up at the C point if Giant Lynx can really find a proper defense. They are starting to win fights now. They have to continue doing that.
Holding on to that grab. Oh, eaten. Nicely done by Sajin God, hungry guy. Bombarapa does go down, but that's actually all Nova MS have picked up at this early juncture. Sound barrier to try and give them some legs in the fight as the self-destruct forward from Sajin. God finds 2, and this is going to be a loss that Nova MS have to cop on the chin. Giant Lynx, they have finally found a point of stability.
And this is where Giant Lynx finally get to hold out their palm and say, no, stop. And for Nova MS, finally probably time to kind of slow down here. They're
hold
playing
on like a policeman, not a beggar. Right?
Yeah, exactly that.
Hold up the hand and go, please, sir. Can I have some more fight wins?
To be honest, either way works. I mean, take the point by any means necessary for sure. And for Nova MS, they do now have to kind of slow down the game because they can't just rush into the defense time and time again. They're starting to feed kills over there. The pace of the game is slowly shifting, and it's slowly shifting in Giant Lynx's favor.
It's going to be a self-destruct, lobbed forward, trying to replicate the success of earlier. Not such luck this time. Chaser. Oh, that's a double charge in. Chaser's low, saved by a sound barrier, though. And Nexus did die earlier, so Giant Lynx up to an advantage, finding one as well. They are going to indeed sort of generous philanthropist is going to hand them another fight win. Oliver Twist gets to eat another day.
And I got to say for Nova as well, at what point do they maybe consider a swap? I would like to think that they kind of can't now because they're way too deep into this game. People have ultimate charges. If you want to swap, you're probably swapping too many members, so they have to at least finish this half of the map with the members on the off rolls.
Zarya fights. Gotta love him. There's a lot of charge though in the pocket of Bombarapa. It's a grab available for him as well. Crazy S does have the Transcendence to deal with it, but that's really one of the few things Nova has to go on here. Well,
We'll see who can get caught out here because it's Graviton Surge for Bumbleupper that's really looking for positioning.
Shatter comes out from one and it's largely blocked, so this is an opportunity to maybe look for that, wow, even with the Transcendence being committed, yeah, even better potential opportunity for a grab. Might not even need it at this rate though, because with one down, if Giant LYNX can take this fight without committing ultimates, then they might as well. Indeed, that is how the fight is going to play out.
And to take a reminder as well, the cart basically got within that last corner of the C point. It made its way within that last indoor section, but now it's kind of slipped its way down to nearly the archway. Nova MS have lost so much positioning and lost so much spacing that Giant LYNX could easily close out the game from here. 1 minute left on this attack, and for Nova MS, just realistically a grab to work with until the self-destruct comes online as well for a combo.
There's Bumbleupper's grab finally committed, and Nexus's grab gets eaten. That is about as ideal as it gets again for Giant LYNX. Sage and God, there we go. Gonna answer back Bubukar's earlier self-destruct with one of his own. And now coming into the less than 1 minute territory, Giant LYNX, they've won so many consecutive fights, you've really got to start to believe that they'll do it again.
And I think the Oliver Twist analogy continues here because Sage and God is a very hungry boy, but he's tired of asking. He's just taking right now. That's 2 Eden grabs in a row. That's
I don't know how familiar you are with
self-destruct kills, kill streaks in a row. And you know what? I'm not going to be very familiar.
His appetite is insatiable. If anything, it's less Oliver Twist and more the very hungry caterpillar. And soon he will blossom into a beautiful butterfly. Oh, yo, already picked off.
Oh, that's
Bumbleupper finds Germ. Ah, Rocket gets 2. Oh, man. It just, everything's coming up Giant LYNX here, you've got to say. And there's going to be a gong ringing out to celebrate that full hold that they were able to complete. It will not be a full cap out this time for Nova MS. However, that 1/2 a win does not make. Giant LYNX do still need to complete the map themselves to really bring this one home.
And as we've seen throughout the entire series, Giant LYNX have not been shy about giving themselves opportunities to win. It's been actually getting those wins. Again, we're looking at a team that can put down the early puzzle pieces, but can't seem to finish the puzzle at various points. And this is now a very winnable place for them. We've used this word to describe Giant before. 3 maps in a row, you might even say. A couple of those may be less winnable than others, but this one around, Nova MS tried to off-roll here. I don't know if you want to call that BM, maybe it's just a little bit of fun. We talked about the puns here, and look, they wanted to definitely have a bit of a last laugh, but Giant LYNX could get that last laugh taken from Nova MS if they can actually win here, and they're in position to do so.
Yes, Giant LYNX, they get the wood and the clay, but a little bit lacking in the wheat and the stone.
Nova MS as well, respect being given here, going back to normal roles, understanding that hey, it worked for a point, 2 points in a bit, but when the momentum stopped, so did the kills, so did the fights. They just stopped winning. They stopped getting anything, and it wasn't close. It was Giant LYNX handling Nova MS at every single juncture once Nova MS had their momentum removed. So very important for the confidence factor for Giant LYNX, knowing, like, look, we can actually win here. Got to take us seriously.
That's been the potential of this team this entire series so far. Nice to see it finally get to poke its head out and stand in the sun for a moment, but now they're still going to have to come up against a very tough opponent here on their
look at this. This is a great flank, by the way.
Oh, nicely timed there. Giant LYNX backing up for a moment. They realized that Jervis wasn't with the team and knew that something was coming.
And now something else is coming. Jervis is going down.
Yeah, death is coming to Jervis is what's coming, and that means Nova MS very early getting broken here. They do lose a mech and Romeo goes down, but with the close respawn, that doesn't hurt too much when you consider Bubukar dead, Crazy S dead, and one in full retreat also going to die. No one from Nova MS survived that fight.
You got to respect the decision making, at least from Nova, because they knew the fight was basically lost. 5v6, no Lucio. Well, time to go all in here. If we can get some trades, maybe we slow down the cart. At the very least, they're going to respawn together. Bumbleupper greatly charged on that Graviton Surge as well, in the right position to just get as much damage in as possible.
He's got a decent amount of charge of the gun as well to finish off getting that ultimate. Good isolation on Nexus. They don't quite finish him off. Oyo coming up on a Transcendence. Nexus goes in for a Shatter, knowing that he's close to death.
Oh, it's a good counter Shatter.
Does not quite rescue him in time. The counter Shatter is good indeed. There's now Giant LYNX committing in a grab, and there's not a lot that Nova have to last through this one. Crazy S might commit a self-destruct here to stall out a bit longer, but I wouldn't be surprised if he just chooses to hold on to it for later. Much like that morsel Oliver Twist sorely needs.
And both Rhines as well, throwing ultimates out there posthumously. Both of them die straight away, but Chaser had the later one. Chaser gives the opportunity for Giant Lynx to clean up Nova MS's defense, capture that A point, and now we're steadily on to B. Still a decent amount of time remaining, and Giant don't need to finish the map. They just have to cap 2.5.
And now, just pushing forward. Giant Lynx going to give respect to that, give some space.
Grab available is dangerous as well. That's a lot of catch members.
Yep, and with the self-destruct layered in, it's going to connect on at least Chaser, and that's the numbers advantage Nova need now, is Giant Lynx have to retreat to the far side of that bridge.
Tempted to go for a boot play there from Rocket, but unsuccessful. The Giant are going to be lucky here to get out with the rest of the members alive. Just lost Chaser, and to be honest, they should have probably lost more, but Nova MS unable to find the kills. A little bit uncharacteristic considering how they've been playing the rest of the series and how successful that playstyle has been.
Now Giant Lynx just looking to get re-established
on
the cart. Oh, nicely done. Chaser just cannot catch a break. Now Sergeant God's going to get demeched as well. He was already going forward. They were looking to commit there. Losing Chaser happens mid-commit. It's about as tough a loss as you can take.
And this is not where you want to lose momentum for Giant Lynx because they've barely kept A to being held at this bridge here. Most teams for the B point get held around the corner where the high ground is favored for the defensive side. This is not even the hardest part of B to cap.
Just a straight slog here. It's really tough for Giant Lynx. Nova MS coming up on so many ultimates as well. They're going to be able to commit a grab in out of Bombarapa. Reacted to with the Transcendence. Oh, and a double boot, Jervis. Nicely done. He does unfortunately die, but he's already done the damage here.
That's literally setting him up and knocking him down, or in the case of Jervis, just booping him into the river. Earthshatter will just put members on their back. There's still members of Giant Lynx being caught out here.
Oh,
good double kill by Bombarapa though.
Yeah, he's still in this fight, and Nova MS do need to remember that Giant Lynx have a closer respawn. Bombarapa takes a third. He is going to drag this team single-handedly over this bridge if needs.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how that gets attributed to a melee kill, but them's the breaks. They have taken possession of the payload, though. That's what really counts.
And I gotta say, this is very entertaining because rarely do we see fights being stopped up or the cart being stopped up at the bridge where fights must take place there. So both Lucios, both Divas, everyone is looking for as many environmentals as humanly possible. We saw a lot.
Now, honestly, the cart hasn't been able to get too much further now that Nova MS have got back to it. Self-destruct laid in on top of the grab. It's looking like a decent one. It is. Crazy S gets himself 3. Nova MS maybe wish they didn't commit that sound barrier at this point because they didn't need it in that fight. The gong rings out. 2 minutes left on the clock for Giant Lynx, having not made much progress at all.
And honestly, because Nova MS wiped that one, it's likely we go back to the bridge fiesta here where, again, Lucios and Divas are like looking for plays. Cart should be moving backwards if Nova MS can continue defending. We're running out of time, less than 2 minutes to go.
I'm having a whale of a time here. Look at these. Look at the giant Billy Goats. Double shatter. And they were both really good. Chaser's actually able to charge in and get Jervis. So that's the advantage there. And now Nexus goes down. Chaser able to get that one. The Billy Goat Scruff going to be able to charge across, knock that troll down. Nova MS still losing members here. Giant Lynx still with that closer respawn. Sergeant God might lose the mech. Can self-destruct to preserve it if he needs to. Actually chooses not to. He doesn't feel like he's at risk of dying in pilot form.
Yeah, and that's because Giant Lynx are currently winning. This next corner is very important. This is the hardest point to attack as the attacker for B and possibly even for the entire map. So Nova MS, if they're not set up properly, which they're currently not, Giant Lynx have a big opportunity here to get past this corner very easily. Or not, because they are back with a lot of respect being given.
Yep, respect, yes.
That's one word to describe it.
That is absolutely one of the words you could use in that situation.
It's the nice word.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's the diplomatic approach. That's a good D-Mech though and Crazy yes. So the respect has been given and now it has been rescinded. Self-destruct layered up. Nexus does get the shield in the way. Oyo has to use the Transcendence in the mix of that as well. So now Giant Lynx have the tools. They use both support ultimates to counter out this grab, but they do get Nexus, and now they're going to pick Oyo. So it has paid off for them. It's just quite expensive.
They got that early D-Mech on the Crazy S as well. That was the unexpected thing. Giant Lynx open up with a 6v5, then straight away the grab because there's no Diva to defend against it, no possibility to sort of be in play for Nova MS. They kind of just have to cop that fight loss, and this should be a quick cap onto B.
There we go, finally breaking through that one. They've only got a bit over a minute and a half, though, to finish this one out. They don't actually have to get all the way to the end, but they do have to get a fair ways around that final corner That's going to be the tough ask.
And they can still get caught up here quite easily. This is where Giant LYNX on their own defense and a lot to play with. Good opening boot. Nothing can come out of it.
Nearly isolated Nexus. Jervis still goes down though, so Giant LYNX have broken through the wall for a little bit here. Now they need to capitalize on it. The grab catches a few, and they're looking to finish off Crazy S. The bubble saved them for a little bit, but doesn't save them fully. Traded in with Sergeant Gods and Mech, but Chaser goes down. Traded with Nexus. Giant LYNX are actually holding even. Now they're pulling ahead. Drilling down one as well. Nova MS still kind of reeling here.
And this could be it. This could be the moment they actually cap and win the map, because Nova MS, this is a very stagnant kill as well. Crazy S in a really tough spot. Jervis down as well. Giant LYNX able to get a bit of momentum. Ultimate still available. Nova MS have better ults, but they don't have positioning. They don't have members, and they need time to regroup.
Jervis stopping the cart for a few seconds, though, has given Nova MS another opportunity here. It is an opportunity without Crazy S and Jervis for the first few seconds. All in a grab as the cap rolls on through. Absolutely beautiful. Giant LYNX are going to show that they can go toe-to-toe with these top teams, and that is what they needed out of this match.
Wow, that is a victory for Nova MS all up.
A moral victory.
3-1, but a moral victory. The moral victory.
Sorry, moral
for
victory
Giant
for Giant
LYNX.
LYNX, yeah.
So,
well, both teams have morals, I assume. So they
you have morals, but
I do.
Who does have morals? The person who does have morals here is out of the two of us, me. But but for Giant LYNX, look, they do get that final. They do actually get a map victory. They've been waiting for this one. It could have been a 0-12, but instead it's a 1-11. It's something on the board, and you do also have to say, look, Nova MS, an attack was a little bit awkward. They deployed the Vancouver Titans Rialto strat of not winning, and they got punished for it. That's what a bumper feed tastes like. And Nova MS felt like they wanted to deploy it too.
I just always wanted to do that. I had this on the desk all the time because I actually do have hot tea in here. It's really nice during the show. But I never actually, I've never just like fully committed and taken a sip while we're on the desk. So now's the time. You know, I'm celebrating alongside Giant LYNX with it's actually cold now, so it's not a piping hot cup of tea, but moral victory.
Didn't sound hot because that would have been a very different response. Like,
yeah. Yeah. It's nothing worse than burning your tongue.
Yeah, it was entertaining Rialto, to say the least. It's something Giant can work with. You do, on a more serious note, you do get a feel for what Giant LYNX can do, maybe
what they're capable
of matches. Because what this kind of reminds me of is the second week for Cyclone Coupling as well, where they very similarly made 2 member swaps on their team. Arguably 2 of the more important swaps, once again, on the main tank role, which for a current 3-3 GOATS meta is a very critical role for that team. A lot of leadership and decision-making does go on that specific member in a lot of cases. So for Giant LYNX to come through, get a moral victory map win on the last map that technically isn't going to be the one that can get them much in terms of the series, but gets them something on the board. You look at Cyclone Coupling because they themselves had some issues to deal with after making roster swaps. And for Giant LYNX, they are still having some issues to go through, but they are looking better.
And that's the thing. They do just barely have a bit of time here. If they can pick up some wins, the real tell is going to be if they're able to take out a team like Xavier, who are also, despite being a good team, hovering around that lower part of the standings. So for now, Giant LYNX have showed us what they need to. We'll just have to see if they follow up on that in later weeks.
Yep, but for now, though, we are going to take a break before we head into match number 2. But what is going to come up next is going to be Xavier Esports taking on Talon Esports. So don't go anywhere. That's coming up right after this.